Hello, America. This is Call of Duty Goddess. Today is May the 12th, 2016. I've got a question for you. How many whistleblowers does it take to take down the cabal? Let's talk about Benghazi here. It seems we have another whistleblower coming out here. Let's take a look at this video.
And brand new details this morning that you will want to hear about what happened the night of the Benghazi attacks. An Air Force member who was stationed in northern Italy is now saying that more could have been done to stop those 2012 attacks that killed 4 Americans. The whistleblower, who didn't want to be identified, speaking out to Fox News for the first time. Listen.
They just kept telling me, we're waiting on a call, we're waiting on the call. I still feel a sense of fault for not being there when we were needed. We could have been there, and that's the worst part.
Well, that source saying that many opportunities were missed in stopping at least the second mortar attack. This despite repeated claims by then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, who said that nothing else could have been done to save those lives.
And don't forget about blaming it on a video. So let's move on here to an article by DC Clothesline titled Bombshell Report. Hillary Clinton took $100 million from Middle East regimes. Massive conflicts of interest. Dated May the 12th, 2016. How much more of Hillary Clinton's scandals can America take? A bombshell report from the Daily Caller says the Clinton Foundation, a purported not-for-profit charity headed by Bill, Hillary, and daughter Chelsea, has reportedly amassed a fortune from oil-rich Middle East nations to the tune of $100 million. National security analyst Patrick Poole says the amount of cash donated to the Clintons is simply unprecedented. These regimes are buying access. You've got the Saudis, you've got the Kuwaitis, Oman, Qatar, and the UAE. There are massive conflicts of interest. It's beyond comprehension, Poole told the Daily Caller. So let's look into these regimes real quick. Just so happens I did a video titled What You're Not Supposed to Know About Benghazi. And in this video, I speak of Operation Zero Footprint. Let's just let you have a listen to this. Operation Zero Footprint was the covert transfer of weapons from the U.S. to the Libyan rebels. The operation avoided the concerns with congressional funding and potential for public scrutiny through financing by the United Arab Emirates. Okay, so the United Arab Emirates financed this. Here we go. Qatar, UAE, right here, okay? So they did the financing of arming the Syrian rebels. So let's see what else was said on this video. We also know that officials within the government of Qatar served as the intermediaries for the actual transfer of the weapons, thereby removing the footprint of the U.S. intervention. So, Operation Zero Footprint was funded by the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar was the intermediaries. So do you think it's a coincidence that Hillary Rodham and Bill and Chelsea took all this money into their little foundation from Qatar and the UAE when the UAE and Qatar were arming the Syrian rebels? The UAE, through their money, they were purchasing the weapons, and Qatar being the intermediaries and the gun runners? I don't think so. I don't believe in those kind of coincidences. So let's look at some other things that have happened recently that are starting to be released. Some information that maybe ties up into other things. So here we are back at what you're not supposed to know about Benghazi. Let's listen to a little bit more of this, shall we?
So you had the direct involvement of the United States government and NATO allowing all of these covert weapons to flow into the country and not giving them proper checks and balances to ensure that they weren't being used by terrorists.
You know, there was a insurgent commander with the Libyan Islamic Fighting Group, which I've said is part of on the terrorist list and is the Muslim Brotherhood link, in Libya. This guy Katala, he was in the middle of the Libyan revolution. He was the guy who was receiving arms.
On December 31st, 2013, the State Department designated Ahmed Abu Katala as a global terrorist. He is a senior leader of the group Ansar al-Sharia, known for its extreme hostility toward the West. Katala spent most of his adult life imprisoned by the Gaddafi regime for his Islamist views, fueling his hatred for the dictator.
It is important to note that Ahmed Abu Katala, the person just described as one of the rebel commanders, was also a member of the 17th February Brigade, which were also the ones in charge of guarding the facility. So, let's talk about Ahmed here. Ahmed Abdul Katala, okay? What? Obama will not seek death penalty against Benghazi terrorists? Do you think it may be because they're both in the Muslim Brotherhood? I am just saying here. This is no coincidence, ladies and gentlemen. This is no coincidence. This is smacking us in the face. Barack Hussein Obama is Muslim Brotherhood, sitting in the White House, taking this country down. People are yelling it from the rooftops. But no, we are not in control of our country. We have been effectively taken over. I don't know how many times I have to say it. If ever there were calls to support and pursue the death penalty, it would be against a man designated by the United States government as a terrorist, and whom prosecutors accuse of leading the September 11, 2012 attacks in Benghazi, Libya. If not now, when? If not in the pursuit of justice of 4 dead Americans, then when? Attorney General Loretta Lynch and the Obama Justice Department have pulled the opinion off the table without so much as offering an explanation. Really? And we're going to let them get away with this, right? The Justice Department will not seek the death penalty against Ahmed Abdul Katala, the suspected Libyan militant charged in the Benghazi attack that killed a U.S. ambassador and 3 other Americans, federal officials announced Tuesday. The department revealed its decision but pushes the case forward toward trial in a brief court filing and offered no additional explanation. In a separate statement, spokesman Emily Pierce and Attorney General Loretta Lynch made the decision after reviewing the case and consulting with federal prosecutors. She said the department is committed to ensuring that the defendant is held accountable for the 2012 attacks. Abu Katala's attorney, who have challenged the strength of the government's evidence, had implored the Justice Department to remove the death penalty as a possibility should he ultimately be convicted of any capital crimes at trial. With that in punishment now off the table, he will face a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. If found guilty, of course he will. And I wonder, with our lame duck president now, I wonder if right before he leaves office, if he ever does, if he'll pardon Abdul Katala. Because, after all, they're brothers in the Muslim Brotherhood. And now we're at an article from the Washington Examiner, Air Force whistleblower, "We could have saved Benghazi victims," dated May the 11th, 2016. An Air Force whistleblower says his team could have provided reinforcements to the Americans under attack in Benghazi in September 2012, contrary to the Obama administration's claims that the military provided the maximum possible support for the embattled diplomatic staff. I definitely believe that our aircraft could have taken off and got there in a timely manner, maybe 3 hours at the most, in order to basically at least stop that second mortar attack and have those guys running for the hills. A man purportedly stationed at Aveno Air Force Base in Italy told Fox News on the condition of anonymity. That's a particularly explosive claim given that 2 of our 4 Americans who died in the attacks were killed in the second wave of attacks, which targeted a CIA annex the morning of September 12th. But the whistleblower has not spoken to Representative Trey Gowdy, who is chairman of the Select Committee investigating the attacks, because there are so many ways you can get screwed over for cooperating with lawmakers. That man obviously knows what he's talking about. That frustrates Gowdy, who accused the Obama administration of preventing him from talking to all the relevant witnesses. As a former federal prosecutor, I find it deeply troubling that there are individuals who would like to share their stories but have not because they are afraid of retaliation from their superiors, he said in a Wednesday evening response to the Fox report. No one should be afraid of talking to their elected representatives in Congress. Well, I think maybe this guy is very smart for not getting involved with Congress because of the Operation Zero Footprint. Okay, so let's go back to what you're not supposed to know about Benghazi and why this man knows better than to work with Congress on this. So let's check this out. The entire operation was coordinated and controlled by the State Department and CIA, along with the Military Command Authority of NATO. According to the Senate Foreign Relations Benghazi hearings, Operation Zero Footprint was unknown to the 2011 Pentagon and/or Department of Defense commanders who would have been tasked with any military response to the September 11, 2012 Benghazi attack. Now we need to assemble a cast of people in the know of Operation Zero Footprint from March 2011 through the pre-9/11 2012 attack. President Obama and Vice President Biden, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, CIA Director Leon Panetta from March 2011 through June 2011, CIA Director General David Petraeus from September 2011 through November 2012, NATO Commander James G. Stavridis, White House National Security Advisor Tom Donilon, White House National Security Spokesman Tommy Viter, White House National Security Advisor John Brennan. Next is the Intelligence Oversight Committee members, also known as the Gang of Eight. Speaker of the House John Boehner, Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi, House Permanent Select Committee on Intel Chairman Mike Rogers, Minority House Intel Committee Charles Ruppersberger, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, Senate Intel Chair Dianne Feinstein, Minority Senate Intel Committee Saxby Chambliss, State Department U.S. Libyan Ambassador Chris Stevens, State Department U.S. Assistant Secretary of State Andrew Shapiro, State Department Senior Head of U.S. Weapons Office Mark Adams. So I think this guy is smart for not going to Congress because of Operation Zero Footprint. And that is the people that definitely know about it. There are many other people that probably know about it that have not been named here. So, there are players that may or may not be involved, but for the most part, Congress was involved in Operation Zero Footprint. So it frustrates me to realize that Operation Zero Footprint was put together by Congress. So as you watch, as you find this new whistleblower along with the other whistleblowers that have came out about Benghazi, well, understand why he shouldn't be going to Congress, because if he does, he won't be alive that long, in my opinion. And I'll give you my opinion as well. Again, I'll say we are under occupation, because if you think about Operation Zero Footprint Congress giving it the go-ahead for the UAE and Qatar to fund and run the guns to Syria, well, then you will realize that it's a plan. It's a plan for the Muslim refugee program to flood the Western nations via Operation Zero Footprint. That is what started this whole thing. And that is why our soldiers were told to stand down via the people that are occupying our government right now. So, please give me your opinion on this. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me this arming Syrian so-called rebels and the bombing of Syria isn't a plan for the New World Order and the Muslim refugee program to flood the Western nations, to effectively take over the Western countries with Sharia law and just cause total chaos. Please tell me I'm wrong. Leave your comment below. This is Call of Duty Goddess signing off, and as always, I've got your 6.